folks. Garrett Sussman here, the head of content for Grade Us. Sam, our product manager, will be joining us shortly, and he's got some exciting things to talk to everybody about. I hope everyone's doing okay. Just checking in. I'm seeing some familiar names here: Bill, Jim, Mike, Phil. Thank you everybody for joining me today. Hope y'all are doing well. How's it going over there? We have some fun things to talk about. I don't know if y'all have had a chance, especially for the agencies and consultants who are selling review management, to check out the local client finder. I'm excited to walk you through it today, go through some use cases, go through some ways that you can use it to find and pitch new review management customers. And then Sam is basically going to run through a few of the different things that we have on the roadmap, some things that he's currently working on. It's going to be really great. He's going to introduce himself. I don't know if any one of y'all, I think he's had a few conversations with the different customers. I think he's back. So Sam, come and join me whenever you're there. He is. Hey. So yeah, so really excited. And then we will save some time for questions at the end. So thank you, everyone. Hope you're having a good Thursday in August 2020. Weirdest year in my life. I think it's pretty much the weirdest year for everyone at this point, Sam. Sam, how's your day going? Let's see if we can get your audio on here.
My day's good. Yeah, I mean, troubling times for sure. And but I always just love talking to users and customers. Hopefully there's some people here I've talked to before. If not, it's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited that Sam's joining me today. He's been doing a lot of work, kind of understanding this product the last few months. You're coming in at a weird time too, in the sense of the way, in the US and around the world, how local businesses have been shut down, and you've had to kind of adapt to having some digital services. And now we're at this point where businesses are reopening. And it's interesting because reviews are more important than ever, because you need to be able to attract, people who are considering coming to your businesses, while also utilizing a lot of the Google functionality on Google My Business that they've been, adding over the last few months, whether that's attributes around the ability to dine in versus curbside pickup versus, whether you're temporarily closed or not. So that's why one of the value propositions that we're actually going to talk about with the local client finder is how important it is to position that to prospects in terms of why reviews matter more than ever, especially when they're opening back up. So I'm going to dive in and talk a little bit about the local client finder that we released a couple of months ago. It's really been popular among our agencies and freelancers. I really hope you get a chance to try it out today, because we're excited about it. We'd love feedback as well. If you have any ideas on how we can improve it, we're always looking for ways to improve the various features that we have. So here we go. I'm going to present my screen, go into beautiful presentation mode. If Google Slides allows me to, there we go. Okay, we'll load it up. Okay, and Sam, can you see on your end? See my beautiful local client finder?
I can discover. See it. Your presentation looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's coming from the king. You guys should see Sam's presentations. What he puts together with his slide decks and GIFs is out of this world, if you will. Everyone in the audience, are you able to see my screen? Bill, Jim, Leeson. Oh, hey, Leeson. Just let me know. You can either write in the questions or the chat. If not, we'll get started, and just fingers crossed, hope for the best. Okay, Leeson can see it. Thank goodness. Okay, great, Philip, and welcome. Woo, Jim. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so local client finder. This is a new tool because we have a lot of agency customers that grade us. We want to make sure that we provide you the tools to be able to find potential customers to sell review management to, whether you're a reseller or an agency. So when I go through this presentation, we're going to talk about, what are we looking for in our prospects when we're looking online, searching for local businesses. Where do you find the local client finder on Grade Us? What are some of the terms that you should use to be searching for customers using the new local client finder? How do you actually use it? So we'll go through it, a couple of use cases, and then talk a little through those next steps as to, once you have your list of phone numbers of businesses to reach out to, what are some ways that you can have that conversation through a cold call. So first thing is, who are we looking for? Well, any business that's on Google My Business, any local business reviews, as you all know, is really important. The two key aspects of reviews and why they matter to a local business is its visibility and social proof. So in terms of visibility, it's pretty much been proven at this point through a variety of studies, including one from Local SEO Guide, that reviews are a ranking factor. So when someone is looking for a restaurant near me, or a dentist near me, or a salon near me, when they type that into Google, usually the first primary factor is still the search term and the proximity you are to that business. But right after that is the quality of your reviews, your review rating, and the quantity of your reviews, and then the freshness of your reviews. And so by having great reviews, a lot of reviews more than your competitors, and recent reviews, you're more likely to be found on Google search. The second part of that is social proof. So people are likely to work with a business if it's recommended by other people. Reviews are as reliable as friends and family to 85% of people, they say. So when you see a business, you want to see their reviews, you want to see that it's qualified and validated by other folks. And so reviews is a visual way to do that. Also, it's very interesting in that sometimes people have specific questions about a business, and other people's reviews can answer those questions. Google has made it easier for you to search through the reviews and surface, what are the wait times at a doctor's office? Is there parking nearby? And if the business owner isn't qualifying or including that themselves on the Google My Business listing, sometimes, or a lot of the times, the customers will actually include that info in the reviews. So a couple other examples of how you can see the reviews in your search results. You type in this example of this GIF is a divorce lawyer in Bellevue, and you'll see, like, at the top, there's an actual advertisement on that search term that's localized to the Bellevue area. But then you'll see the local pack with some of the top, based on, the location and the number of reviews that they have. And then you'll see some actual organic results. And then something to always consider with working with clients is these Yelp, Justia, even Avo, the third-party industry-specific review sites that'll show up, even Thumbtack for lawyers, which is surprising because Thumbtack is a lot of home service providers. But having your listings on those review sites will help you be found as well. And that's why, with Grade Us, our strategy is, while Google is always going to be the most important place to get reviews, it's important to distribute positive reviews and get great reviews across all of these different third-party sites, so that when customers are looking for you, you are there. Another example. What's that, Sam?
I love Thumbtack. I just moved into a new home, and Thumbtack is crushing it.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. They are. Them and Home Advisor I'm seeing all over the place, and even like Nextdoor, which isn't really like a review site as much as kind of a neighborhood guide, but you kind of start to see these organic, kind of reviews that come in on Nextdoor as well. Another one, Salon in Alexandria. And so what you'll notice, the theme here is with local searches, like 85% of them have local intent and have commercial intent. So they're typically, when they're searching for something that has a city or has a zip code or says near me, it's going to serve up these kind of local search results, like the local pack that you're seeing, which is those top 3 sort of results with a map. Sometimes it does have ads in it. And if you're looking in this example, once you get to the specific business, there's a lot of information that you'll see especially on mobile. On mobile devices, it's a whole different search algorithm than you'll see on desktop. So these are some examples that you'll see of what people are searching for and why reviews are important. So going back to why we thought the local client finder is going to be helpful and how you're going to use it is when you're looking for a prospect to sell review management. Naturally, you need a high rating, you need a high quantity of reviews. That's going to depend on your industry. If you're going to want to get more reviews in a restaurant where people are used to writing reviews, and you'll see less at like a lawyer where they have a fewer amount of clients, and so they're less likely to have as many reviews. So one thing that I always recommend if you're selling review management to a specific industry is looking at all the different businesses and seeing for yourself what the benchmarks are. So you can start to establish, especially inform yourself for when you're having those client conversations and they ask you like, how many reviews do I need to have? Look at the specific area, look at the industry, get a sense of what is showing up, and then you can set that as a goal for when you're selling review management for your clients of what that threshold is. But beyond the number of reviews, one thing that's really important, and it's relevant to COVID, the pandemic, and businesses opening up, is this freshness of reviews, recent reviews. And I pulled a couple of statistics here that have been sourced from research studies. The first is that 85% of consumers think that online reviews older than 3 months aren't relevant. And I personally believe that, Sam. I'm curious about your thoughts
Yeah.
because it's like when you look at a review, if you see a review from 4 months ago, what's your natural reaction?
It doesn't matter to me, like it's like it's so weird, like sometimes you'll see stats like this and you're like, yeah, that's interesting, but like this, like I feel this, like this, like I think it's interesting that like reviews touch our lives too, and like this like hits so close to home for me. So it's fun seeing stats like this that are just
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
gosh.
that's how I feel.
And it's all the industries. Like I feel like you're right with restaurants. If you're going out or you're or ordering delivery or anything, even on the DoorDash apps and all of those sort of delivery services, you'll see reviews. That's like a every not every day. I actually don't order from restaurants as much as I used to, and obviously with the pandemic, it's a little different. But for you, for instance, you moved recently, so I can imagine when you're moving into a new place, there's a lot of services you need, and reviews would come into play with that.
All that, all that. Yeah, I'm on Thumbtack all day. We have busy schedules, so I do order food 3, 4 times a week, and like I am all in those reviews all the time. And yeah, absolutely. Like and it only seems to be getting more important to me because like there's less like I do everything online now, especially in the last
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah.
I don't do anything in person as much anymore. And like, you better believe I'm like in those reviews looking at these things. So like, I think that's why I'm like resonating so much with this one because like the freshness, especially now, like if their listings aren't up to date or their reviews are weird over the last 6 months, like they might not be open right now and they just like the listing isn't accurate. And so like,
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially in terms of, the COVID and masks. And if that's something that's really important to you, if you're in an area that has mandatory masks, like you could find that information in the reviews of, whether employees are enforcing it and being polite about it, whether it is mandatory. And I think that's really important information for people to know about a business. So generating reviews, that's just another aspect of what folks are looking for more than ever when it comes to evaluating businesses to work with. The second stat here, which I actually think is really interesting because it impacts the bottom line, is that businesses with more than 9 fresh reviews, so passed it within the past 3 months, earn 52% more revenue than average than those with more than 25 earn and those with more than 25 earn 108% more than average. So having more frequent recent reviews will actually earn you more money. So in terms of the freshness, what that means now is when we're looking for prospects, if you can find someone who, oh, I lost the, there we go. If you can find someone who's doesn't have recent reviews, like their most recent review was 1 month, 3 months ago, that's going to be a huge qualifier for whether or not they're a great prospect candidate for review management services. So in terms of what this local client finder is and how the heck do you use it? So to access the client finder for Grade Us, you basically need to click this question mark icon at the top of the right of your dashboard, and you'll see the drop down menu with the local client finder. One thing that it's important for me to clarify is that if you white label our service, so you access Grade Us on a different domain, you actually need to go, and here are the instructions I'll show you. You need to go to grade.us/sign in and put in your normal username and password. And then once it redirects you to the white label dashboard, you go ahead and log in as you would. That way, because we don't necessarily want to show the agency tools to non-white label to your clients, we kind of hide that. And so you need to be able to log in to your Grade Us version of the account, not the white label version of the account. And then you can browse, if you want to get back to your white label, browse to this bookmark, which is the grade.us/business, and that will allow you to get back into your to the branded dashboard. So if you want to try this on your own, don't be confused if you don't see the drop down if you're logged into your white label version of Grade Us. So the next part of this in terms of finding potential clients is what are you going to put in there to find, that's going to deliver? Because what the client finder does is it basically looks at the Google Maps listing based on their reviews, and it looks at the rating of their reviews and how recent their reviews are, and then it's going to deliver the name, the address, and the phone number, so that you can then call those folks to be able to pitch review management services. So when you're looking for who you want to target, you'll want to include a combination of the following terms in your search. Basically, what you can imagine their clients would want to be searching for and finding them on. So it could be the industry, it could be a business category, it could be their services and the products, and then combine that with an intent keyword like near me, or anything geographic related. So the city, the neighborhood, the zip code, because as you all know, working in local SEO, that the results will change depending on where you actually are, and then the actual city, neighborhood, zip code that you're looking for. One tool that I found that's free that I thought was really cool from highervisibility.com is this free bulk keyword generator for local. They have these presets, which is really cool. It gives you like a list of these different services that you can add to this list and combine. It'll concatenate them. It'll add them with a list of your locations, and then it
What?
will generate. Yeah, isn't this really cool? I thought it was a brilliant idea. And then it just generates a bulk list of just all the combinations that you want. And
What?
I would collect these, and then you could put them in one by one to just start to generate your list for who you're going to reach out for with regards to pitching the service. So I thought that's really helpful. The link is down here, but I will include the link in the follow-up blog post that I'll post next week so that you can access it. But it's just the highervisibility.com /free SEO tools /bulk keyword generator. And that's a free tool that is definitely worth checking out. And that's just a great free local SEO keyword research tool. It won't tell you the volume or anything, but it'll just help you generate that list that you could then put into Google Keyword Planner.
I love this.
Right?
What? Dude.
It's a very
Garrett,
cool.
can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So like one of the things that I see a lot, especially when I'm talking to users, is like the vertical or the niche or the area that an agency works.
Yep. Oh, we lost you. You cut out for a sec. I think we lost Sam, unless it's me. Can you guys hear me okay? Has my internet been solid? Philip, Philip, that site is right down here. It's the highervisibility.com. Okay, sounds good. When Sam gets back, we'll continue that question. But the next part actually is I want to show you guys what the actual local client finder looks like and how we can use it. So let me go exit the full screen. There we go. We're going to come back up here, go to grade us. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the way that you're going to log in. Oh, I'm going to share my screen again because I know you guys probably lost it. Boom. There he is. Your volume's off, dude.
I'm gonna leave my camera off, see if that helps.
Okay, sharing. Okay. I'm going to go through the client finder real quick. Okay, so there we go. Oh, service area businesses. You have a tough time finding them when trying to add profiles in Grade Us, and you just ran a search in the local client finder and a service area business doesn't show up. That's actually really good feedback, Jim. Sam, if you want to speak to, I know we made an update in our review funnel setup. So basically the flow is set up for search service area businesses where you have a link and that simplifies the process. Correct, Sam?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, cool. So the question is about service area businesses and setting them up.
Yeah, and trying to add profiles in Grade Us.
Yeah, so if you go to the plus button, or if you're adding a new business,
It's cool working through the new flow. Okay, so
yeah,
Sam's business. We're gonna give you an auto car dealership. I hope you're cool with selling some cars. Okay, here we go.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, so when you click on that service area business thing, what we've seen a lot is it's super duper important to grab the correct link there. And so whenever you grab your link when you're Google searching for that, it needs to have the google.com/search. And we need to like really make sure that link is in there. If you are grabbing that link and putting it in there and is not grabbing your business still, then that is a different problem, and we should talk about that. But this seems to be working really well for all of our service area businesses so far. So, so make sure that you kind of, when you're trying to generate that proper link, click on that service area business link, add that URL in there, make sure google.com/search, and let's see if that works. And if it doesn't, then we can talk about that some more.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. I mean, part of this is like we want to make it even easier, but we are limited by the Google API in terms of how they interact with service area businesses. So they kind of make it tricky, and this is like the best kind of flowing solution that we've been able to find. Oh, Jim says thanks. Cool. Awesome. Okay, great. I'm really glad that was able to help you out, Jim. That is a newer feature, and so one thing actually is worth mentioning while we're here, before I dive into the local client finder, is that one thing that Sam has added, and he'll talk about the other stuff that he's been working on and is working on, is this what's new. We're doing a much better job since Sam's come on to let you know when we've added changes. So something like the service area business link update is up in this what's new category, because we're trying to be more communicative every time we even have like a small nuanced feature that we know would be valuable. So always check that out, especially if you see the little like blue icon up there indicating that there's something new. So for finding the local client finder, basically what you want to do is you're going to come to your dashboard. You'll see the question box here. We'll click over to the local client finder. And so here we go. And so the idea behind it is you'll be able to put in this map any of those search terms that we discussed from the last slide. And, it will generate a list. So if I put in, salon near Alexandria, Virginia, because I am based out of near the DC area.
Nova,
Beautiful. And it gives you this list, which the thing that I find really, really helpful is this last factor, this last piece of data, which is when the last review was. And so, based on what we were saying earlier, this is incredibly helpful because you can see if someone hasn't had a review in anything like a month onward is a great prospect for reaching out and talking to them about review management, because these reviews, especially as people, as businesses are opening up and they're looking at these businesses, seeing a more recent review is going to help them, show up on Google. It's going to give more information to their customers. It's going to provide that social proof. It's going to be valuable. And so the goal with this tool is to make it as easy for you to find a variety of different customer or prospects to potentially reach out to. Now, you can export the CSV to just by clicking this button. It'll create a CSV that will then appear, on your computer, and it'll include this information, which is the name, the phone number you can call, the rating, and the most recent review. Now, you can also, if you want to, simply reset the map, and you can filter by a lower star rating. So if I look for, just let's say restaurants near me, we'll see what comes up. 2 is pretty low. You usually don't see too many with a review rating that low, so I wonder what'll come up. Yep, nothing will come. So let's try 3.5. The idea here is that someone who might be below that kind of 3.5, 4, 5 threshold, that they are, ideal. Okay, not restaurants near me. Let's try restaurants, Arlington. With a little bump in a few positive reviews, that they can jump up their star rating, and that would be significantly more attractive. Let's try lawyers. Okay, we got one here. So Arlington Commonwealth Attorney has a 3.2. So we know we can reach out, talk to them about how to improve their reviews and how we can help. And so there's a good candidate there for you to reach out to. Any questions about the local client finder before I move on and talk a little bit about some of the things you can do in terms of your calls and a little research that you can do to prepare for those calls? Nope. Okay,
I have a
fantastic.
question for you, Garrett, if I can,
Yeah,
if
shoot.
I don't freeze out, is um uh back to the same one. So you put in lawyers, which is like super interesting to me, or attorneys in the local client finder. And like that is
Mhm.
something that we see over and over again, right? Is like that's one of the most used verticals inside of Grade Us, and like dentists and like home services. Like, can you talk a little bit about like the power of choosing the right vertical to do these searches on, and and why it's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are certain nuances across industries that it's really important to pay attention to when you're offering review management. So, if you look at industries that might have a high ticket type of service, they potentially would be able or be more interested in paying more for review management services. So in the legal industry or even the healthcare industry, there's a potential higher margin for you as a reseller. I think there's also some challenges that come with those industries as well. I mentioned early on in the webinar that they're going to have a lower volume of people who are their clients or customers, and so it
Hmm.
might be less reviews to earn over the course of a month. But there's an interesting study that came out that I saw on Search Engine Land recently that said across all businesses, the average review per month was actually only 1.5 reviews, which seems
Hmm.
like a very, very low threshold and a very high opportunity for
Hmm.
you to pitch to your customers. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or are you talking about some of the other nuances between industries?
No, yeah, that's exactly right. I heard something recently that and I wanted to get your take on it. And it's fun that we'll do it in front of a bunch of people. But I heard
Yeah.
that like if you were to divide doctors and dentists,
Yes.
and this agency would take dentists over doctors every day because of how much marketing is ingrained into the dentist vertical, and how doctors kind of feel like their work should speak for itself. Do you buy that?
It's really interesting. I do and I don't, in the sense that I think that you're right. I've heard across the board that dentists are much more aware of digital marketing opportunities, and they've been doing it for a longer time. The reason I think lawyers are an interesting vertical for a different reason is that reputation is huge in the legal industry, right? Like, your reputation and how you look among your peers is very important to lawyers. And, you know, the standard for a lawyer is like incredibly high, in the sense of like, there's a lot of pride in terms of the 5-star reviews. Like, anything below a 5-star rating for a law firm is, you know, awful. It's awful. Like, that's the only acceptable sort of rating. So while I think reputation is more important to the legal industry, the dentists, I think, understand the benefits of marketing more, in terms of how that can lead to more clients and prospects. Have you heard that with some of your conversations at all, Sam?
I froze out again, but I heard the end of it, and um, I think I agree with you.
Uh,
I
it's
think, yeah,
different factors, right?
yeah. I think, okay, next question. Home
Yeah.
services. Like, why do you think
Yes.
reviews are so important to home services? I've heard that it's because you're inviting this person into your home. And that is like a brief, like that you need to really, really trust that person. Do you buy that?
Well, I think that's true. I think when you are inviting someone to your home, that's a certain amount of vulnerability where the trust has to be there, because like, we don't just let anyone into our home. And your
Yeah.
reputation, your brand does that. You need that validation. I think it's even more complicated with the pandemic, and so
Mhm.
I almost want to talk to more home service providers to see, obviously it depends in the country, but to see what the conversations are like in terms of that. And that's where you're, being explicit in the precautions that you're taking, um,
Mhm.
come into play, and having those reviews explain what precautions they take. I mean, it could even be like, repair services, or yeah, anything that moving services. If you're moving, like anything that comes into your house, I think is going to be that much more sensitive. Real
Yeah.
quick, to answer your questions, Philip, you are able to reset the map, but you can just continually add new searches just by putting it in this bar and then hitting enter, and that will generate the next list. But if you want, and that'll just, this whole list will be exported to the CSV. If you want to start from scratch, just remember to click the reset map button. Regarding lawyers, Philip says, don't you think that a 4.9, 4.8, or 4.9 star review is more real than the 100 5.0 star reviews? Oh, absolutely. I think, Philip, that is an education thing that you need as a marketer, or a review management reseller, to explain to your clients, because I think their perspective is that it has to be a 5.0, but in terms of the way the consumer perceives it, and this is generally a business education thing as well, where I think all business owners want a 5-star every single time. It makes sense. I get it. It's educating them on the value of having that 4-star, even 3-star review, as long as it's balanced and doesn't overreact to the negatives. Um, there is a ton of value in terms of authenticity of the reviews, because on some of the
Mhm.
industries, having, reviews are a problem. Like, I think there's a spam issue for locksmiths. where it comes to reviews and even listings in general, where you need to be aware of the industry and how they're perceived and how people do take advantage, to explain when you're working with customers. Jim says, I think home services because so many people have had bad home contractor experiences as well. I think that's absolutely accurate too. Sam, that's an interesting one, is like the idea of the 2 to 3 bad experiences that you might have had before makes you trust the whole industry less. I think we might have lost Sam. One other thing I want to point out too that I find is really interesting when it comes to the spam aspect that you should consider as a agency or reseller using this tool is that there's a lot of fake listings that are being used as lead generation services. So when you do call a number, if it's not the actual business, I think there's 2 really important things that you should consider as an agency to put in your back pocket. Is 1, to report that business, and 2, to document that business. So what happens is there are a lot of middlemen who will actually create fake listings for the locksmith industry or other industries where it's not a real business. They're able to get it set up and verified by Google despite not being real. They'll use a fake address, fake phone number and everything. And then
What?
when you call into that business, they're then capturing your information as a lead and selling it to other businesses. And that's illegal. I mean, that goes against all of Google's terms of services, and it's just bad. So one thing you can actually do is
What?
report those services. Yeah, that is totally a thing. Google it right now. It's like lead gen Google My Business listing spam. That's a legit thing.
That's like one
And
of
so
those things where I like, that's awful. And like a part of me is like, I respect the hustle. That's super smart, but man, that is awful. Why are they
and
doing that?
I have proof actually. I was set up after this one. I'm going to jump ahead a couple of slides, but this is one of the slides, and then I'll actually go back. But this is a great follow on Twitter. Is Tom Waddington, Tom Waddington 8. He's very up to date in the
Yeah.
local area, and so for HVAC, this is what he found was obviously it's a scam when you're seeing the different
It's the same
business,
number.
no reviews or one review and the same phone number, or basically one digit off. Those are examples of a lead gen scam that as a local SEO expert, you can also help your customers there. Because look, you can see from his screenshot, this is showing up in the local pack. So these people are
Yeah.
getting valuable real estate from these scams. They can be reported and removed. And so not only can you use this to help your existing clients, but you can also use this as a value prop when you're pitching new prospects about what you've already done to help them and what your stuff, and you can help them further. So one thing I do want to go back to with the research aspect of this is, if you can just go and call all these numbers that you get from the local client finder and give a general pitch about, the value of reviews for visibility, social proof, how important it is when you're reopening your business. But if you want to take a little more time, I think there's a ton of value in looking at putting the business's name into Google, looking at a few of their reviews and referencing that in the call, whether that's referencing a great review that they got and saying how you can actually use that in their marketing, in their website to potentially, attract new business if they have a great review in there, and they'll appreciate you taking the time to having looked at their reviews. Or looking at a bad review, maybe bringing that to their attention, and referencing how you would fix that or how you would help them with review responses in the future as part of your service offering. So the other part, reviewing their Google My Business listing, because a lot of the Great Us review management resellers also sell local SEO or even Google My Business services to improve that actual listing. So if you find that the prospect is missing information, it's not filled out, they're in the wrong category, they're just not taking advantage of what Google My Business has to offer, that's a service value that you can provide to them on the call as well to reference. Review the other review site listings. So in addition to Google My Business, if you want to look at their Yelp listing, look at if they're in the legal industry, their Avo listing or their, what's it called, Martindale listing, or if they're in the home services, looking at their Angie's List, Thumbtack, Home Advisor, if they're in the healthcare industry, looking at their health grades or ZocDoc, and being prepared to talk about that when you get on the call, or eventually as you get down like kind of the service pitch call. And then the last part is getting a sense of their competitors' performance. So just seeing how they look in their reviews and their local kind of SEO presence compared to some of the other competitors that appear on the Google My Business listing or in the local pack. So when cold calling, so you do want to try and get in front of the business owner or the decision maker. If it's a multi-location business, maybe it's one of their marketers. But naturally, it's a cold call, so you want to introduce yourself. You want to establish the relationship by just making sure that they have, a minute to talk, be friendly, ask for their name so you can get to know them. Establish that rapport so it's that much more comfortable, and you're not just like, it's not obvious that you're making, this is your 35th call of the day, that you really care about their business and want to help them. And then some of those ideas, if you have the time, to mention their most recent reviews, to identify the opportunities of reviews, earning more business, and all that stuff. Yo, Andres, I haven't talked to you in forever. Thank you for joining me. And then plant the seed of reputation management. So, in that first call, you can't necessarily go into your whole pitch. It can definitely be overwhelming. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're at least planting the seed and then setting up the next meeting saying, hey, if you're interested, I'd love to talk to you more about some of the ideas I have. Let's put something on the calendar, set aside half an hour to actually talk through what the service is that you're going to offer. And so that's kind of my quick tips on it. I do actually have a blog post that we wrote with all of the details that I covered today, and I'll include that in the roundup blog post. But if you guys want to go over there, it shows you some more of these local SEO keyword research tips. It shows you some use cases. There's a video of me going through everything, as well as a really great video on how to do the cold call from this guy that I found on YouTube that I love his stuff, and then some other tips there. So Andres asked, how do you guys show them how they rank against their competitors? So Andres, the way I would do that is going through a couple of examples in the local pack. If they're not ranking number one in the local pack for a keyword and an area that they should, I would show them and highlight how they look, how their competitors are looking, and showing them what their competitors are doing there. A second part of that would be comparing the star rating, their quantity of reviews to competitors. So maybe creating a little spreadsheet with them at the top, and then 4 or 5 of their different competitors with the number of reviews that they have, the most recent, or you can even do it as like how many reviews have they gotten in the last 30, 60, or 90 days. And then their rating naturally. And then you can do that as well across the different third-party review sites. You can do that on Facebook, on Yelp, on the industry-specific ones. And that's really compelling for someone who doesn't know that they need reviews, but you can show them what their competitors are doing, and it hits home. So that's it for me. I went over a little longer than I anticipated, but that still gives Sam about 15 minutes to kind of run through some of the stuff that he is really excited about and has been working on. Are there any questions about the local client finder? Oh yeah, we have, there's no way to automate that. Andres asked if there's a way to automate the competitor. We have the ability to do a report, a prospect report through Grade Us, which is really cool. You actually put in the name of the business and the phone number and the zip code, and it generates like this really cool report that has a score on where they can improve and a couple of the top review sites and where they rank. Competitor rankings, I think we've gotten some feedback that that would be a huge tool to be able to use, to your point of being able to put in 4 to 5 competitors and then generate like a report like that. So definitely something that I think is good that Sam's here to hear, because I think that would be hugely valuable for any resellers. One more question for Jim is, any tips on finding prospective clients or new client reviews on lesser known sites? Prospect reports only search 5 sites, and I rarely see other review sites show up when setting up new profiles. So what I would typically do, I think it's a little bit of manual work, Jim, but what you can do is, if you identify the prospects that you want to go, always have a seat free on Grade Us that you can reuse. We have a lot of customers who actually set a seat free for free trials that are just available if they want to give free trials to their prospects to try it out. But what you can do is, if you have that free seat, you can set up, basically recycle it and put in the links of your prospects with all the different third-party review sites, and then generate a report, print out the PDF of that. It won't have the algorithmic kind of score of what they need to work on, but it is a good way to be able to show them how they are doing and talk through it in the first prospect meeting. You notice that the report is not as accurate as the customer report. Actually, Andres, I'm glad that you brought that up in terms of the prospect reports. And for that, I will actually hand things over to Sam to talk a little bit about reporting and some of the other stuff. So Sam, if you're ready, do you want me to send over the presentation, or do you want me to just keep it here on the screen?
Yeah. Make me the presenter.
I will make you the presenter. So let's go over. And this should give you access. Are you seeing it?
I see it. Do you guys see me?
We see you. It's all you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a great.
Oh, I think we lost your audio for a second. Can you guys hear Sam? Jim loves the idea of the competitor thing. Can you guys hear Sam okay? We cannot hear you, Sam.
In the platform right now, actually, it's not like a big.
Hey, dude, we lost you for a sec. So we can hear you again, but you cut out. So I don't know if you can go close to your microphone. But yeah, what you were just saying was we lost.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so it's a big push to get that information more accurate. It's something that we'll always chase, right? Things change, Google changes, the way we pull that information changes constantly, and we'll constantly be chasing that information. I think a big thing that came out this week that you guys may or may not have seen was like a big back end push. So when you go to the reporting tab, is all that reporting, all that bringing in of data is connected. You'll see that your reports will actually, that reporting page will load quite a bit quicker. And there's like some skeleton screens there that will load those things up. And so we're cranking through that stuff and kind of like constantly always iterating on it to make it more accurate. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Garrett,
Yeah,
I guess just yell at me if you can't.
I don't know if you could hear me when you couldn't, when yours turned off.
When
so
I'm out.
My screen.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a thumbs up if we can hear you and a thumbs down if we lose you.
I just go down into the void. But yeah, so I just want to introduce myself to a lot of you guys. I have talked to a lot of you guys in there, but it's great to get to talk to you more. A cool thing that I love to do is like, if there's anything you need to know about me, is that I'm like strangely tall in real life. So I am 6'7". It's off-putting for everyone. I just want to get it out of the way, and now we can like move on from that. But I'm your new product manager, your newish product manager, as Garrett was saying. So like my job is to talk to as many clients as possible, hear from you guys, hear what's working, what isn't working, and try and make it better and try and plan how this product moves forward. And it's so fun to like get to work with Garrett too, because he's such like a thought leader in this area. And I thought his presentation was awesome. Um, the thing I want to talk to you guys about really quickly, I know we have 10 minutes. Okay, so integration. So I'm super passionate about this area. I've heard it from a lot of you guys that this is super important for you guys, and that's basically the connection of GradeUs to these other third-party applications that your clients are probably using. One of the things that we see over and over and over again on GradeUs is that our most successful users and the ones that stick around the longest and the ones that have the least churn are the ones that use the review request area the most. And so there's a certain button on the website that gets clicked ridiculously more than all the other buttons, and it's the add a recipient button in the review request area. So this button gets clicked around 40,000 times a month. It kind of dwarfs a lot of the other actions on the website. Activating the recipient is also quite high. And so we see that this like manual process of adding a recipient and actually asking for those review requests is like vitally important to getting reviews and getting happy customers. And like happy customers are often ones that are getting reviews. And so like here's a very common quote that I'll get when I talk to someone is like, hey, I might have 1 out of 10 customers actually using review requests. The one customer who did use it went from 5 to 80 reviews in a year, but I had to bang, bang, bang on him to use it all the time. It was super hard for him to get to use it. But the results were, and because of these reviews and some other marketing stuff that they did, that client had the best year ever. The best year they have ever had by a significant margin, right? And so like using this manual process really works. The problem for us is like why does it have to be so manual, right? And that's where actually Jim Lee is on the call right now. I mean, Jim, we talked about this not 2 weeks ago. It's like this is such a common thing where it's so hard to get your clients to actually log in and use that review request tool. And that's why that's why I'm so passionate about this, because it can lead to so much more success with your clients and getting these people who are great businesses. They deserve to have a good reputation, and they don't simply because they're not marketing people or business people or website people. Setting these up is a very challenging thing for us to do and requires a lot of maintenance and is a lot of work, but I think it's super worth it for you guys. But what that means is we have to be really smart about the integrations we try and set up with you and for you. And so we have to start kind of small and then build our way up to it, right? And so I think a few of you guys might have seen the survey we put out last week. If you haven't logged in, it should show up for you. But we asked everyone kind of like, what were the most important applications for you to have integrations with? And we got a ton of different answers. There was, I think, over 50 different applications, but there were some that bubbled up to the top as the most important applications for them to have integrations with directly with GradeUs. And they were MailChimp, QuickBooks, Salesforce, Constant Contact, and HubSpot. I would have thought HubSpot would have been higher. That was kind of an interesting one for me, but I totally get why all these are there. Infusionsoft, sometimes called Keep, Important CRM, and then House Call
Andres,
Pro.
we did see Active Campaign. Andres is like Active Campaign, wants to see that one.
Active Campaign was another popular one, but it didn't, and I need to check it again. But yeah, I mean, like that's my big question for you guys is what app integrations would help you the most? I want to hear from more people about what would help. Like, what are the things? Like, Active Campaign is an awesome one, and it's definitely one of the more popular ones. I can actually look to see how many people voted for that right now.
Philip said Entreport. Entreport is one he would like to see. Oh, and Andres actually wanted to ask about Zapier and where we stand on Zapier at this point. Zapier.
I think Zapier is an amazing tool. But I've also seen that it's actually pretty challenging for new users to set up. Once you get past that like onboarding flow, then it is, you can start setting them up for your clients. But like having some agencies find that like trying to have a client set up an integration for themselves on Zapier is just like a no-go. It's just like too technically challenging. And like what an integration.
sorry, for ours, is our Zapier updated? And so for instance, he'd like to see sending a phone number so he can put that in the SMS invite. I believe we can do that since the
Should be
update,
able to do that.
right?
Yeah, for sure. You should be able to do that with Zapier.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so like what this allows us to do, right? It's like if you
Up, we lost you. We lost Sam's volume. But to answer your question, Jim, I know that we currently can do. I've personally set up email like Mailchimp via Zapier to send out a review request connecting it to Grade Us.
templates. And that's it.
There,
So
we lost you for a sec. You're back.
I'm back. Okay, great.
But I did
So
answer
this
Jim's
great.
question about knowing whether or not we can create an integration with an email program, which you can do via Zapier, but it seems like you found from all the integration interest around MailChimp and Constant Contact that they want to see those email integrations.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, those were super popular. Um, there's an interesting thing with MailChimp too, where it's kind of like a MailChimp hack, where you can, so long as you don't send any emails on MailChimp, MailChimp is free. And MailChimp also integrates with almost everything on the planet. And so if you integrate your MailChimp with something, and you can automatically pull that list over into Grade Us. And so it's like almost having MailChimp means like almost every integration is available to you. The other thing with integrations and that's tricky with Zapier is like HIPAA compliance and the dentist and medical stuff. Like you can't necessarily do that with Zapier. And having it over on our side, you're much more protected there. So there's not another third party coming in to that situation. So there's a ton of benefits there. Are there any other questions? Are there any other like integrations that you guys feel like would be like super helpful for you, or that you would love to see?
Looks like Andres does say that HubSpot would be great, and gave him the heads up that our Zapier is out of beta. He was a beta tester way back when, so he's going to go check that out. So that's really cool.
Oh, nice,
And
nice.
yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah, I'm
Okay,
excited for the integrations because
let
I
me make
think that
you.
give it a back sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Give you a beautiful, beautiful desktop. Anyway, it looks like we weren't able to really, we don't have a lot of time for any sort of other random questions as we get to the end here. But oh, I don't think we're able, sorry, Andres wanted to know if we're thinking about white labeling Zapier. And I maybe you know, Sam, whether or not we even can, if Zapier allows you to do that, or have we considered that?
We've definitely considered it. It's a really interesting question. It's very challenging for us because the requirements we go through in setting it up are pretty rigorous, and so it took a long time to get the approval to go live. And so it was kind of challenging to do that. But it's definitely something that it's on our radar. But it is a kind of a challenging one to figure out.
Andres says, I believe you guys can do it. Smiley face emoji. So Andres and I actually used to talk like, gosh, I guess it was 3 or 4 years, like 3 years ago, Andres, when you came on, back when I was doing the John Hall days with before Traject took over, when we had our sales call and talked through all this stuff. Oh, almost 4 years, insane. But yeah, thank you so much, Sam, for joining me today, guys. If you have
Thanks for
any
having me.
questions, yeah, dude. Well, I'm gonna have you come on like every month now. We're just
Okay, great. I'm
talking.
here. I'm here for it.
Jim, thank you for stopping by. We hope you appreciate it. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll put together like a little bit of a kind of blog post, and we'll have in the email newsletter all this info. Mike, Philip, appreciate your time, guys. And so if you have any questions, you can reach out to Sam directly. He's always happy to connect. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Sam?
Yeah, just shoot me an email. It's just Sam and Great Us. Holler at me.
There you go. Holler at him. My name's Garrett, and thank you again for joining us on this lovely Thursday office hours. Say goodbye, Sam.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
So I thought I needed. Ooh.